most of America seems to have been lulled into a kind of happy complacency. And of course, nobody likes to be under lockdown. Nobody likes I'm sick and tired of it, right? We all are. But to have a president just sort of shrug it off and move on to the next topic as if it was all over merely is encouraging millions and millions of Americans to believe, you can go back outside, you don't need the mask, you don't need the gloves and so on, and nothing could be further from the truth. If you look at the kinds of increases over the last 2 weeks, starting with the Memorial Day surge and then the general opening in key states around the nation, including Texas, you see these enormous increases. I mean, Arizona, over that period of time, has jumped nearly 200% in the number of reported COVID cases. Arkansas, more than 100%. And Texas is approaching a 70% increase in 14 days in the number of diagnosed COVID cases. Now, this is not a question of, are they testing more? This is diagnosed medical cases. Most of these people have symptoms severe enough that they needed hospitalization or medical attention. So we are far from being out of the woods on this. I was just looking at a Morgan Stanley survey, hardly a left-wing group, right? And they are estimating that our R-naught, that crucial way of measuring how likely it is that I will infect, if I have COVID, one person or two or three, statistically speaking, that the R-naught, far from being 1, which means that the epidemic just kind of is stuck. It continues to grow, but not at an increased rate, just everybody infects one other person. Mm-hmm. And an R-naught of 2 means it's doubling, right? Morgan Stanley thinks we're at an R-naught of 1.1. So we're not growing super fast, but we're not shrinking at all. And if you just assume that that's right, and I actually think it's higher than that, but if you assume it's right, 1.1, then you take the math and you go out to August, and sometime in the middle of August, we hit 200,000 dead Americans. And by September, we're looking at 250,000.
So that's 200,000 before Donald Trump's hoped for Republican convention at a location to be determined as soon as he can find what? I mean, I'm not sure there's going to be any such location. But what does this tell us then if we're going to be at 200,000 in August when universities are starting to reopen their dormitories, or they hope to reopen their dormitories? What does America and what does American life look like in September, October?
My real fear, Lawrence, is that as people start to realize, oops, there's a lot of COVID out there. Maybe I should put the mask back on. Maybe we should reconsider what we're doing here. It's going to be really hard to put people back into lockdown anywhere. The cat's out of the bag and the cat doesn't want to go back in the bag. And so our options are narrowing, and we won't have a vaccine. We won't have a miraculous cure. We won't have some technological solution. So I'm very concerned that as you get a realization that things are dire, it will be harder to get the public health measures encouraged and followed.